I lived in a place where nothing ever happened. A quiet road, fog almost every day, no stores, no strangers. So when I first saw the red minivan, I should have known something was wrong. I was about 13. Every day after school, I had to walk up the highway to check the mailbox. About 15 minutes alone, surrounded by trees and fog. One afternoon, I heard something. A rattling engine coming through the fog. Then I saw it. A dark red minivan crawling toward me. Slow, way too slow. It stopped right in front of me. The driver window rolled down. An old man looked at me. Gray hair, watery blue eyes, and a small white dog sitting beside him. "Hello," he said. His voice was soft, too soft. We talked for a moment, just normal stuff, but something felt off. Every time he moved his hand, the dog flinched, like it was scared of him. And his other hand, like he kept it hidden between the seats, covering something metallic. Then suddenly, he just drove away. I told myself it was nothing, just some old guy. A week later, I heard the same sound again. This time I didn't wait. I jumped into the ditch and hid. I watched him drive by slowly, looking around like he was searching for something. Or someone. After he passed, I got up and rushed to the mailbox. That's when everything went wrong. On the way back, I saw him again. This time there were no houses around, just trees, fog, and silence. He pulled up beside me. "Why were you hiding earlier?" he asked. My heart dropped. He saw me. I lied, said I saw a cat. He smiled, then said something I'll never forget. "You like animals? You can come sit in the back, play with my puppy." "No thanks," I said, and started walking away. Then he grabbed my arm. "I can drive you home," he said. "You live it." He said my address. I froze. Then I ran. I ran as fast as I could. And he followed me, reversing his van down the road, trying to catch me. I didn't stop until I reached my aunt's house. I was shaking, crying. We called the police. They said they couldn't do anything. No plate, no proof. But he didn't stop. He came back again and again. Twice a week, always after school. Driving slowly, watching. One day, he even stopped near my house. Told my parents he missed me. That's when they knew. This wasn't random. This man had been watching me. Then one night, everything escalated. It was around 2 a.m. I was downstairs alone, lights off, just the glow of the TV. Then I saw it. The red minivan, parked outside. My entire body froze. He got out and started walking toward the house. I couldn't move, I couldn't scream. He stood there, staring inside. Then something even worse happened. He slowly lay down, right in front of our house, and just stayed there for an hour, not moving, watching. I've never felt fear like that in my life. Eventually, he stood up, got back in the van, and drove away. That was the last time I saw him. A month later, we found out what really happened. His van was discovered, abandoned. There was blood inside, a dead dog, and a wrench covered in blood. Police later confirmed he had just been released from prison for crimes against minors. And suddenly, everything made sense. The way he talked, the way he watched me, the way he knew where I lived. I still think about it sometimes. And one thing always haunts me. What would have happened if I got into that van? But that wasn't the only disturbing story I found. This next one is even harder to explain. I was 17 when a man decided I was going to be his wife, not in a sweet way, not in a normal way, in a planned, calculated, terrifying way. And the worst part, he didn't just imagine it, he prepared for it. I grew up in a small mountain community in Western Virginia, the kind of place where houses are far apart, where everyone knows each other, and strangers stand out immediately. That summer, I got my first job, working at a small general store inside a camping resort. It was quiet, easy, mostly tourists passing through. Nothing ever really happened there, until the day he walked in. He was massive, at least 6'5", maybe bigger, broad shoulders, rough hands, like someone who spent his entire life outdoors. His clothes were dirty, worn down, and he had a long, unkempt beard. He didn't look like someone visiting. He looked like someone who lived deep in the woods. He brought a few items to the counter. One of them was a bar of soap. When he stepped up to me, he didn't speak right away. He just stared, slowly, looking me up and down, like he was studying me. Then he asked, "Did you make this?" I told him, sometimes, that I helped with things like that. Soap, homemade products, basic stuff. He nodded, quietly, thinking. Then he asked, "You cook too?" I said, "Sometimes." And then he said something that made my stomach twist. "I bet the boys around here are itching to marry you." I didn't respond. I didn't even know how to respond. It felt wrong. But I brushed it off, told myself he was just awkward, just another strange guy passing through. But he came back, again and again. At first it was just small talk, short conversations, but slowly, those conversations started changing. He told me about his cabin deep in the woods, said he built it with his bare hands, said he hunted his own food, lived off the land. And then, he started talking about me, about how useful I would be, how nice it would be to have someone like me around, someone who could cook, someone who could make things. Then one day, he said something I will never forget. "You got the kind of hips men want." That's when everything changed. That's when I stopped feeling uncomfortable and started feeling afraid. He began inviting me out, fishing, hunting, asking me to come see his cabin. I always said no, always politely, but he didn't take the hint. He didn't back off. He just became more intense. Eventually, I told my boss. She started handling him whenever he came in. I avoided him completely. And after a while, he stopped showing up. Or at least, that's what I thought. One night I was closing the store alone. It was late, around 10, pitch dark outside. When I stepped out into the parking lot, I noticed something immediately. There were only two cars, mine, and an old blue pickup truck. My stomach dropped, because I knew exactly whose truck that was. I looked around, didn't see him anywhere. So I moved quickly, got into my car, locked the doors, checked the back seat. Then I turned the key. Nothing. Just a weak sputtering sound. I tried again, and again. Nothing. That's when panic started setting in. And then, there was a loud bang on my window. I froze. Slowly, I turned my head. It was him. Standing right outside my door, smiling. "Need some help?" he asked. I shook my head immediately, told him my dad was on the way. He laughed. "No, he's not." The way he said it, it wasn't a guess. It was certainty. He grabbed the door handle, pulled. Locked. Then he started pounding on the window, harder, more aggressive. I screamed that I was calling the police. He didn't stop. So I pulled up my phone and dialed 911. My voice was shaking. I could barely get the words out. The dispatcher said officers were on the way, but out there, that could take a while. I screamed at him again, told him the police were coming. And suddenly, he stopped. He just stood there, staring at me. Then he turned and walked back to his truck. For a moment, I thought it was over. I thought he was leaving. But then, he opened the back of his truck and pulled something out. A crowbar. And he started walking back toward me. I screamed, told him to get away. He didn't stop. Then he swung. The metal slammed into the window. Again and again. The glass began to crack. I dropped down into the passenger side floor, covering my head, waiting for it to shatter. Then suddenly, I heard shouting. Male voices, loud, angry. Two men ran into the parking lot, campers from the resort. One of them had a shotgun. They yelled at him to back away. And somehow, he did. He stepped back and just stood there, waiting. The police arrived shortly after. They arrested him. I gave my statement, still shaking, still trying to process what had just happened. But weeks later, I learned something that made it so much worse. The police searched his cabin, deep in the woods. Inside, they found a journal, pages and pages filled with entries about me. My name, my routine, my job. And then, his plan. He had sabotaged my car. On purpose. So I wouldn't be able to leave. So I'd be trapped, alone, at night, with him. He said he was lonely. He wanted a wife. And in his mind, he had already chosen one. Me. He was sent back to a state institution, and hopefully, he never gets out. But sometimes, I still think about that night, and how close I came to disappearing into those woods. Mountain Man, let's never meet again. If you made it this far, you already know this stuff is real. Subscribe, there's more stories like this.